So hello everyone, my name is Miriam. I work at the Scholarship and Student Aid. I'll try to look at you here, despite the fact that I can see everything going on over here. So I'm sorry if I look up from time to time. So today my goal is going to be simple. It's just to make sure you understand who we are and what we do, and highlight some important financial information that could be useful to you while you're completing your university degree. We will start this by talking about the land at McGill. So McGill University is on a traditional territory of the Haudenosaunee and Anishinaabe nations, a place which has long served as a site of meeting and exchange amongst nations. I will also have my director, Cara Piperni, welcome you before I keep on with the presentation.
Welcome to Meet McGill and our session on how to receive financial support towards your degree, brought to you by the Scholarships and Student Aid Office. Hi, I'm Cara Piperni, the Director of Scholarships and Student Aid. I'm a McGill alum and a staff member for over 30 years. And I'm also soon to be a McGill parent, as my daughter will be amongst you starting her bachelor degree in the fall. So for the moms, dads, and guardians joining this event, I know how you feel. Students, congratulations on your offer of admissions from McGill. And what a time to be starting McGill's bicentennial year. I'm so glad you're here with us today, exploring the idea of joining McGill's amazing and vibrant community of students, faculty, staff, parents, and alumni. Now that you've been admitted, getting excited about what the future will bring, you may have important money questions. Considering tuition, books, housing, and food, you certainly want to have a financial plan in place. Well, you are in good hands today to learn about the services and programs offered by my office. In my position, I'm often asked, what is your best advice for incoming students? And I really have 3 points. 1, build your budget. Financial plans can change, but knowing your resources and your costs are an excellent step towards good money habits. 2, ask questions. There are so many people on this campus who want to support you, so many services to leverage to help you flourish. Take advantage. And 3, savor this moment. You have been admitted to one of the top universities located in a beautiful city. You've worked hard to get here. Be proud and enjoy the journey.
All right. So that was Cara, my director. Here is the special wheel we have. So the Scholarship and Student Aid is a proud member of Student Services. We're united in our mission of student wellness, which includes financial wellness and helping students reach their full potential. Our goal is always to focus on student self-development. So we offer everything from community building and large-scale events, group workshops, and one-on-one specialized and confidential services. So who helps pay for a degree? So a degree costs a lot of money. We know that. And it can be magnified for students who take on their debt, who needs to find money to supplement what they need for the degree. But very few will argue that the cost is an excellent investment in terms of better job prospect and future earnings. Our philosophy at McGill is that there are 4 pillars for financial support for students who have the opportunity to pursue a first-time undergraduate degree. It is expected that parents will contribute to their students' cost of studies relative to their financial capacity. It is also expected that the student will bring money to the table through part-time work, summer job, or by finding scholarships. Quebec students can also apply for government aid, and we're going to talk about government aid in a little bit about AFE. AFE that can help supporting you during your degree. A student Quebec request to Aide financière aux études, AFE, will be assessed based on the need of the student. And then the need will be assessed to see if you could be eligible to loans or bursaries or both. Finally, we believe it's McGill's responsibility to also contribute to financial resources. We offer some resource, some aid based on merit which acknowledge top academic performances. We also offer need-based bursaries and loans, which means that after a student, other resources are considered, McGill can give financial aid packages in form of bursaries and loans to help with unmet need. it is very important to understand that we cannot replace resources. We can only supplement the other resources that you might have. So we'll talk about the opportunities of the services our office has and make those pillars as strong as possible. So here's a snapshot of what our office offers, which I'll go into details about in a few minutes. There are some fundamental terms that are important for you to understand. It may work differently here than it does in other places. I'm going to add that in French, we have one word that we call bourse. We always talk about bourse in French, which can be used interchangeably for many processes. In English, different words exist to express what bursaries are. So there are merit-based awards. Merit-based is usually based on grades or sometimes on combined with other achievements. There's scholarships, which are found on transcript, and that are also sometimes offered automatically with the help of a selection committee. We have need-based aid, which is determined on the basis of demonstrated financial need. We assess if a student and if their family have the capacity to cover the basic cost of attendance, and then we can offer a need-based bursary or loan. So aid generally comes in two forms. There's non-repayable bursaries and grants, which students don't have to pay back, and there's repayable aid, which are loans that students do have to pay back, usually at the end of their degree. So the need-based entrance bursary. You could apply for the need-based entrance bursary to see if you could be eligible. The eligibility criteria are listed here, so they're eligible to everyone, wherever you're coming from. They're for first-year, first-degree students, and line medicine students too. You have to be enrolled in the full-time degree program, and you have to demonstrate financial need. So there's an application you can find on Minerva, and I'll show you the path in a minute. We recommend to apply within 30 days of the date of your formal acceptance to McGill. That's important so that we have the time to assess your file and then give you an answer for it. The application officially closes on June 30th. The funding for the program is limited and offered on a rolling basis, so it's important for you to apply as early as you can for this. The need-based entrance bursary has a perk, which is that once you're accepted on the entrance, you get an entrance bursary. You're also accepted on the work study program, which opens on July 1st of every year to apply for the program. So here is how you can apply for the entrance bursary. You need to sign in on Minerva, which you might have discovered by now. And then you will need to select financial aid in the word menu at the top and select apply for McGill entrance bursary. Once you get there, you're going to get quite a few questions that are going to allow us to determine if you can be eligible to our aid. So the decision time. Our decision begins in March, so it's on a rolling basis. You might need to wait 2 to 3 weeks to get your answer. Then we post the decision on Minerva, so that's where you're going to find the answer once it's assessed. Please be careful. You're going to receive a letter if you get a bursary. If you get the aid, you're going to receive a letter, and you need to read this letter because it's going to be full with very important information. Now we're at AFE, which I'm more easy to talk about because this is my file.
Yeah.
So if we
Sorry, can I just interrupt for one second? We have a question that's related to need-based bursary, and I feel it might be nicer to address it now.
Yes.
Can you mention if they only apply for need-based bursary once, or if it's a yearly application?
So the entrance bursary you will need to apply right now, because we only assess your file before you arrive at McGill. But we're going to go into, after a little while here, we're going to go into what you need to do once you're a student at McGill. So you can apply for extra aid once you're a student if you need it during the following few years. So every assessment is done for only 1 year.
Perfect. Thank you.
All right. More questions for now?
For now, nope.
Nope. Okay. So aide financière aux études, AFE. A few of you, I'm thinking if you're here, might need to apply to AFE. Some of you might have applied when you were in Cégep. Some might apply for the first time when you're in university. So to apply to AFE, you need to first be Canadian or permanent resident, or be recognized as a refugee or a protected person. So that's the first thing. Then you need to be recognized as Quebecois. So if you were born in Ontario and grew up there and just arrived in Quebec, you cannot apply to AFE, you should apply in Ontario. So you need to be recognized as Quebecois. You also need to be deemed needy. So you're gonna have to answer financial questions so that AFE will decide if you could be eligible to their programs or not for the year. So when you apply to AFE, you first will need your permanent code. The permanent code can be found on your transcript. Some of you probably know it by heart already by now. You can also find it probably on your transcript from Cégep. It would be the same. And you're gonna need to know the McGill code, which is 979000, or the McDonald campus code, which is 97900B. I'm saying this, but you're also going to find that information when you apply to AFE. So you don't even need to know it. I'm just mentioning it. In case you would be searching for it, but it should be easy to find when you apply. You're also going to have to identify what program you're in. So you're going to find a list of programs and you're going to have to tick one. Don't overly worry about this. If you make a mistake and you don't choose the right program, our office will double check everything you've written, and we're going to be confirming the information to AFE. So you don't have to overly worry about this either. But know that there's going to be a list of programs that's going to pop up when you apply to AFE, and you're going to need to choose the right program. A few things you need to know about AFE that are important to know to understand how they work. So to be eligible to AFE, you need to be a full-time student. A full-time student means that you need to be registered in 12 credits or more. If you take less than 12 credits, you could be eligible to their part-time program, which is a completely different program for AFE. And in this case, you would be eligible to a part-time program if you were registered between 6 and 11 credits. If you take less than 6 credits, you're not eligible to any aid from the government. Not while you're in university anyway. There's the deemed full-time status that is also important to understand. So deemed full-time is for students who cannot be full-time students for different reasons. It could be because they're parents of single parents, or because they're pregnant, or because they have a functional disability or an episodic disorder. So if there's a health reason, or if you are a new parent, you might want to visit our office or ask us questions if you're not sure you understand what it is to be deemed full-time. But being deemed full-time means that you can apply as a part-time student would, so between 6 and 11 credits, and still be recognized as a full-time student, which gives you access to more aid from the government, because they assume you cannot work on the side as much as you would if you were a part-time student. So that's the idea of the deemed full-time student, which is important to know, because you could start your degree as a full-time student and have to become a deemed full-time student if you had some health-related problem down the line. So it's important to remember this. Aide financière aux études. So once you get to their website, this is what you would see. You would have to select the full-time studies option, and then you would get to see the access to online services. I'm also pointing here the Student Financial Assistance link. The Student Financial Assistance link in French is called Une aide à votre portée, and it's the guide about AFE. And it's not necessarily a very interesting read, but it's the most complete guide that is made available to students when it comes to government aid, pretty much around Canada. So it's very well done. So if you have any questions about AFE, any questions about how they work, how they assess your file, to understand what's going on, that would be a very good thing to look at. So the Student Financial Assistance link that is there to the right is a very important one. Otherwise, most of the time, you're going to be clicking on the Access Online Services link that is here, and it's going to bring you to your file. So this is what your file would look like. This is just a general idea. You've got all the tabs at the top. So depending on if you apply for a full-time application or a part-time application, you've got the tab at the top here. It's very important to always keep everything up to date with your address, because if they need to send you anything, you want to make sure that they can find you at all times. There's the section for special need forms. So if there's Any health issues that you need to report to AFE, would do it there. And there's the submit a document section, which allows you to upload files to your AFE online file. The full-time forms and submit a document, as I was just saying, are the two sections that are the most commonly used. And when you click on full-time form, this is where you're going to get to find the application for to apply to AFE next year. Note that it's not yet out for this year. The application usually comes out mid-May to early June. So make sure to apply according to the academic year you need. So in the example here, it's 2020-2021, which means that it would be too early to apply for next year. You also have to remember that if you are starting your first undergrad, you're not married, you are not a parent, then it means that you are still dependent on your own parents. In that case, it means that your file will not be assessed fully until your parents fill their own section. So parent or partner if you are married, but usually you will have to fill up your own section of AFE, and then AFE will wait for your parents or your partner to fill their section to assess your file and assess your need. Once you get it in your file, there's two sections that I find particularly important. The notice section, which is where you're going to get all the letters and important notes from AFE. So let's say they have questions about something you've told them. Sometimes they might ask you to send extra papers to prove what you've been saying. So this is where you would receive the letters. And I see a lot of students who forget to read their notice, and it's very important to always keep up to date with this. Even more so that AFE has been getting stricter with the deadlines to submit all the documentation. So make sure to check your notice from time to time to make sure that you provide all documentation that could be requested by AFE during the year. All the tabs to the left are interesting and it's worth clicking around and understanding them. But the full-time assessment tab is the tab that you're going to use more often, because this is where you get to see how much money you're going to be getting. So you might receive many assessments during the year. You're going to receive a first assessment when you apply. But then if your situation change, if you go from 12 to 15 credits or from 18 to 12 credits, it's going to create a reassessment of your file. Same thing if you tell AFE, this year I'm going to be making $6,000 at work. And then you lose your job and you let them know. And you tell them, I'm going to be making $3,000 this year. In that case, AFE would also reassess your file. And that's what you can see here on what you're being showed, is that the example we have here, there's been very big changes in the assessment during the year, which would be linked to information that is given to AFE through the year. So remember that what you see when you first apply to AFE might change during the year. If you click around, you're going to find the summary. The factors are the information about the school. Tables are where they do they explain how they came to the assessment they're giving you. It's a bit tricky. I wouldn't go into it in too many details, but you're going to get to see a few of the information you've given them and how it's been processed in there. And the financial assistance statement tab at the top there is where you can see how it's divided during the year, because usually you get more money in January, in September and January, and a bit less every month otherwise. But that's how you're going to get to see how it's divided for you for the year. Also, please note that all students have different assessments. There's not one assessment that is the same, because there's too many things that are taken into account when they assess your file. So you and your friend or your neighbors might have a very different amount of aid coming from AFE, and that would be very normal. It's always very different from one person to the other. Last tip when it comes to AFE, submit declaration of change every time there's a change in your file. By that I mean, as I was saying a bit earlier, if you work, you lose your job, and it's going to make a big difference in the amount of money you make in a year, you need to let AFE know. It will create a reassessment of your file, but it's much better if they know as soon as possible, because it will readapt the money they're giving you in function of the new information. If you don't do it, AFE might find it when they receive your taxes in the summer, and usually they don't like it, and they call it une déclaration mensongère. So that's like if you were not giving them the correct information. So it's very important for you to make sure to give all the information to AFE when you have it. to avoid any problems, and that I've been repeating this to all students that come in my office, to avoid any problem, make sure that you do your taxes every year and do them early. So if you do them in March, you can go back to your AFE and say, well, listen, all year I've been telling you I was going to make $6,000, but I've made $7,000. So I'm telling you right now. And if you tell them early enough before their deadline, AFE will not consider it as a lie. They will just reassess your file in function of what you've told them. And it's going to play in what you're receiving for the rest of the year, and maybe on what you're going to receive next year if they've actually given you too much during the current year. It's very important just to keep them in the loop. So make sure that you do your taxes early and that you update your AFE when you have the chance to do it. So that's it for AFE. I don't know if there was any specific questions about AFE, Melody, that you would like me to talk about right now, or if I just keep on going.
You can keep on going.
All right. So just so you know, there's different jurisdictions in Canada, which are linked to province. So there's, in Quebec, we have AFE, but in Ontario, they have OSAP. There's Alberta Student Aid. There's Aid in Manitoba. You can only apply to one province. It's very important to know that. So if some people fall to the cracks and are eligible in 2 different provinces, make sure that you only accept aid from one of the provinces, because otherwise you can get in trouble. But this is important for you to know that if you're not eligible to AFE, you might be eligible to aid from other provinces. So once you're here, and that goes with the question that came a bit earlier. So work study application will open on July 1st, 2021. We also have a thing that is called fee deferrals. So if you have, if you're not able to pay your fees in time, there's a few specific reasons why you could request fee deferrals. So you might want to look into it. It opens in mid-July for the fall term and mid-December for the winter term. You can apply for the fee deferrals in Minerva. And being on AFE would be a reason to apply for a fee deferral if you haven't received it yet. In case of emergencies, we also have cash loans. So emergencies are, for example, if you lose your wallet on the street, and for a few days you don't have anything to use, you could always come and see us for a cash loan. In future years, you're not going to be applying for insurance bursaries. You're going to be applying for in-course financial aid. So for the in-course financial aid, what happens is that we assess your file year after year, and we try to see if there is any need. So we can offer bursaries. We can also offer loans. And for other experiences, we have the mobility bursary if you go on exchange and want to study outside of the country for a term or 2. And we have the enriched educational opportunities, the EEO, that are need-based. So that's very important to remember that. But that are for learning experience outside of the semesters. So all the aid we have are made possible because of generous alumni and donors, and tuition increase set aside. So student associations, specific government grants. So we try to get money from a little bit everywhere. And that's how we can help our students at McGill. It's also important for you to know that we have counselors at McDonald campus. So if you plan on studying at McDonald, you can always go there. We have someone who goes once a week, and otherwise we have our office downtown. So in future years, when you apply, well, you can apply at any time during the academic year. You want to make sure to apply in Minerva, but also make sure to book an appointment with us, because otherwise you're going to have applied, but nothing's going to be moving. You need to take an appointment, and it's going to be with me or one of my coworkers. It's half an hour. We make sure we understand what you've been applying for, and then we decide if we can help you or not. We consider you need to be full-time or deemed full-time to be eligible, registered in the degree program. You need to be in satisfactory academic standing. You need to be on government aid. So if you refuse to take your government aid, you're not using all the resources you have. So we might not be able to help you. And you need to have demonstrated need. So financial wellness, no matter a student's financial situation, knowledge is power. We really believe you need to understand your finances to be able to go through university, and planning will reduce your financial stress. We have a financial program that's called the Frugal Scholar. You can see and read about it on our website. We also have workshops from time to time. We have a toolkit that will allow you to budget and work on your budget. So our office is very much there if you have any questions about any of this. This is our website. It's worth going to it and clicking around. There's tips on how to pay for your undergrad degree on there too. Where to find need-based funding for undergraduate students, tips on budgeting, financial stress, things like that. So tons of good information. We even have a thing called the cheap sheet. So for those of you who have never lived in Montreal yet, the cheap sheet gives tips on where to find the cheapest restaurant, the cheapest grocery store, the cheapest food. So you can find that in the managing your money section. It's getting to be a bit of a popular document because there's so many good information in it. And here's where we're located. You can see the two buildings. So the building at the top is on McTavish, the brown building service, the student services building. This is where most of us work, usually when we're not working from home. And the bottom picture is our McDonald campus Centennial building. So this is where we offer our services. So we're here to help. If you have any questions, you can always contact us at studentaid@mcgill.ca. We can help with government aid from, as I was saying, Quebec, other jurisdictions across Canada, but also the United States. We can assess your need and try to see if we can help you out. So